Morning, everyone. Well, I'm privileged today to be chosen to give the remarks of thanks for Father Joe, our pastor. Well, why was I picked? I'm the oldest, and I have the most seniority of the clergy. So, what a man. First of all, I want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Mamich. They had one son. And boy, did they do a great job raising their son. And when he was a young boy, and he's told this in his homilies before, so I'm not speaking out of turn here. Young boy, how many young boys between the ages of 5 and 7 would go down in the basement and simulate saying a mass rather than be outside riding a bicycle? Father Joe did. And what did he use as host? Necco wafers. Right? It's true. But they raised him the right way, and we thank you so much for sharing your son with us in our diocese for the last 17 years. First of all, as we all know, he was from Holy Family in Stowe, where he was sent from 2006 to 2010. Then he went over to St. Basil's in Brecksville for a year and a half, I think it was, wasn't it?
16 months, yeah.
16 months. And then he got the call. And how often does somebody from the same community, a priest, get sent to their hometown? Not often. I understand he was from St. John Newman, where he grew up, but he was called to be our pastor. And he called me, because we knew each other from the seminary days, because Father Joe used to serve the deacon candidates and their wives after our Wednesday night meetings, after the 2-hour meeting from Ken Pachowski back here. We would go down to a place called the Cask and Cross. And that's where I first met Father Joe, is he makes one mean Italian sausage sandwich. And so he really listens to that gospel message today about loving God above all else and your neighbor as yourself. Because we didn't know each other from Adam, us deacon candidates, and he was there with that smile on his face like he always has, taking care of all of us. And so I want to say a couple of words about his first pastor, Father Paul Rosing. I look at Father Paul Rosing as the Tito Terry Francona of the pastors, right? Think about it. Father Joe was there. He got sent to us as a pastor. Father Kevin Klanowski was there. He got sent to us as an associate, but now he's been chosen, and he's in Rome for 6 years studying the scriptures. And not to be outdone, Father Andy Gonzalez, who will be our next pastor, you got it, started his career as a priest with Father Rosing at Holy Family in Stowe. So what a blessing it is. The Holy Family of Stowe is sort of like another St. Joseph's, right? And so this is a tough time for all of us. It's a great time, though, because we celebrate this final Mass, this Mass of farewell for our beloved pastor. And it wasn't easy for Father Joe. I remember when he got picked to be pastor, he called me one day, and his words were this: Deacon Bob, what is the pulse of the parish? What is the pulse of the parish? And my words, I don't know what the pulse of the parish is, but you're too young for this assignment. And then the other words that I said to him, it's very hard to follow an icon, Father Bob Sanson, right? Father Bob was here for 20 years as pastor, and Father Joe as 12 years for pastor. That's 32 out of our 77, over 40%. And we're so better for it. Under Father Joe's leadership, a bunch of more ministries have been started here, especially our service day that we just had last week. But he's been through a lot in that time that he's been with us as pastor. First started back in 2014 when he got his kidney transplant. from one of our parishioners, Jim Lechko. That was the beginning of his health journey there. Luckily, he was doing very good for that. But then, my brothers and sisters, of course, we had that fateful day of December 5th in 2019. And I'll never forget the words that he used that weekend at all the masses when he said, "This does not shape us of who we are as a parish," and how true those words were. With his guidance and all of you, that our parish became stronger from that event. But then what came? COVID. What also happened, Father Joe ended up in the hospital with COVID. Then Father Joe ended up with cancer, ended up in the hospital. But my brothers and sisters, he was still our good shepherd all those times he was ill. Because even though he might have been away from us in body, he was with us in spirit as he led St. Joseph Parish, either from his hospital bed or recovering up in his room in the rectory. That's who Father Joe is. One last thing I want to say is I can't tell you how many times I've heard this, Father Joe, in the last month or so, but there's a number of parishioners that are very upset that they're losing the comedy team of Lester and Mamich. Because many of you noticed that him and I barter back and forth at all of our masses and in our homilies. But the reason we do that, my brothers and sisters, is because we love each other. And we know what our call is, and all of our baptismal call of loving God above all else and our neighbor as ourself. And so, Father Joe, we thank you for all the blessings you've bestowed upon us here at St. Joseph Parish over the last 12 years. You're stronger and better for it. We will certainly miss you. But as you told me, you're not assigned to the cathedral for Mass. You're basically a free agent, and we expect to see you at times. Just like we do with Father Bob Sanson, we still see him. And so thank you so much. Now, before I call you up, we're going to have a presentation, but I have some words I was called to do by the volunteers in the back. After our Mass today, there's going to be a celebration in the HFC, and the team has asked me, please go into the back into the HFC, but be patient because it might take a few minutes to get started because they wanted to see the festivities here in the church today. Father Joe.
I wonder what this will be.
Yeah. Close your eyes. So the other day at the school Mass, he got the Good Shepherd statue. Today, we're going to present to him the St. Joseph statue so he can remember us, okay?
Thank you very much.
And just see how many people are at this Mass today. Doesn't this remind you of another day? Christmas, the birthday of Jesus Christ. And today, here at St. Joseph's, we're celebrating this final Mass for Father Joe since St. Joseph's Church was named after him. And here, hold this. Watch it so don't break. You know, 2 years ago for our 75th anniversary, we were selling these wine glasses. And Father Joe kept pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. So our staff has decided, let's give him 2 of them. So Father, here you go, okay? So congratulations for everything.
Thank you very much.
Right. I'll just put them in.
A bottle of wine for those wine glasses.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Before you do that, thanks for your kind words.
Oh, thank you. And at this time, I'd like to bring up our lovely Mayor Persiak, to have some words.
morning, everyone. You know, it's a happy day and it's a sad day. But when I was coming into Mass this morning with my wife, Debbie, I looked across the congregation and I saw so many people that I saw at Father Joe's first Mass at St. John Newman. You know, I looked across and I said, wow, we're all still here and we're all still here to support you. You know, we really need to think back as to Joe's vocation. Started with his mom and dad. Then he chose to go to Padua High School, where he did so many things. He was a Eucharistic minister back then, yet in high school. And he attributes his calling to the priesthood to his parents, and of course, everybody, give them a round of applause again. And I think his aunt is here too, and she's been a very important part of Joe's life. Give her a round of applause too. But he also attributes his calling to the priesthood of Jesus Christ to so many things that happened to him at St. John Newman Parish under the leadership of our own Father Bob Craig. The Parish Life Teen Program, yes. And we kind of go back to that day, Joe, back in May 14th, 2006, and May 13th, Bishop Pillow placed his hands on you and ordained you to the priesthood of Jesus Christ to serve the Diocese of Cleveland. Now, I'm happy he did that, and I'm happy you're moving on to work downtown, but I'm sad to see you leave our community. I'm sad our safety forces, you were so involved as a chaplain to our safety forces, and by the way, he's agreed to stay on to serve our safety forces as a chaplain. So, I know I don't need to give you a key to the city, but I'm going to because your mom and dad are here, and if you don't come home enough, your mother's going to call you anyway. So come on up here, Joe. Just want to make sure that you're always welcome home here. And I just want to say thank you for your support and dedication to the city of Strongsville. And here's a key to our city, so you're always welcome.
Okay, now I got to go back over there. So I put together a little outline here to try to keep myself focused. First and foremost, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you all for being here today. It is really humbling and a source of great honor that all of you decided to be here today to celebrate with me, to celebrate what we've done as a community. I mentioned that as we were preparing for this, I really wanted this to be an opportunity to give thanks. And yes, it's a farewell, but also it's a Thanksgiving. It's a Thanksgiving for all that we've accomplished, all that we've done over the course of these past 12 years. Father Sanson mentioned the back right before Mass. He goes, hey, Joe. He goes, most of the pastors of St. Joe's are usually here around 10, 12 years, something like that. Most of them have been carried out of here. And I told him, I said, you and I survived, so that's good. So it's certainly really a great opportunity to be here. And I do thank Father Sanson really for being here today to celebrate with us, because he's been so much an important part of our community. I've always joked that he's like Grandpa to us, because he comes, he has a great time, but he doesn't have to fix anything, pay for anything, or deal with anything. Much like grandparents. And so somebody told me recently, like, hey, wait a minute. If he's Grandpa, will that make you Uncle Joe? To my niece and my nephews, pseudo-niece and pseudo-nephews, my godson, that's what I am. So if you want to call me Uncle Joe, it sounds good to me. When I arrived here back in 2011, I remember saying my first weekend, quoting from the Gospel of Mark, that a prophet is not without honor except in his native place. And I really and truly believe that it has been an honor to be here for the last 12 years. To be able to serve, to laugh, to cry, to grow, to be able to do that with all of you is a real, true blessing and a true honor. As Deacon Bob alluded to, I learned a lot in my first assignment at Holy Family. Father Paul told my parents when he first met them as I was moving in, he said, "My job is to make you be ready to be a pastor." And he did that well. My second assignment, as we jokingly called it, St. Basil the Mediocre. That's what we called it at the staff level, so that's a little secret there. And we used to call it St. Basil the Mediocre. And it was always a great time, but that kind of refined things. St. Basil's was a little bit bigger than Holy Family. And then in the midst of that, that's when one of my friends, who I noticed his father's here today, he called me and said, "You're never going to guess this. Father Sanson's retiring." And I thought, So I put my name in the hat as a young guy, 32. At that time I was 31. I came just after my 32nd birthday, and we began our 12 years together. Looking back on that time, it certainly has been a real source of blessing. Today, watching the communion line coming up, I noticed people whom I baptized, people who I married, people who unfortunately we celebrated the loss of a loved one and buried their loved one. One, my pseudo-nephew Aiden, who I was his confirmation sponsor for, and shared all sorts of different things over the course of this time. And those are some very good moments, also some tough moments. Deacon Bob alluded to December 5th, 2019. Conceivably, the worst day of my life. And that was not the day I was diagnosed with cancer. But on that day, and that subsequent weekend, as Deacon Bob alluded to, you filled this church 4 times that weekend. And I remember at the 4:30 Mass having this huge pit in my stomach wondering, what am I going to do? And I had written it out and I gave it, and you responded with a thunderous standing ovation. And together we forged on. And here we are. And it has been, unfortunately for me, there has been some times, and Deacon Bob alluded to, that have been very, very difficult, particularly with health. But all of those times, the one thing that has shown forth throughout each and every one of those things is our true belief in God and our true faith. It is not without coincidence, I believe, that we are a parish that has 24-hour a day, mostly 7 days a week, Eucharistic adoration. The power of the Eucharist that has enlivened and enriched our community should never be taken for granted, nor ever understated, because it is very powerful. So many people pray in here, and it's so funny. Over time, people are like, "Father, nobody signs in." Here's the good news for you. The people worry about people signing in, I don't care. You know why? Because a lot of people don't sign in, but people pray in there. Now, more often than not, I can come through here at any given time. There's at least 1 or 2 people in there. I don't even sign in. But there's a lot of praying going on in there. And all of those moments are centered, I believe, in our faith in the Eucharist. And all of those moments are the moments that really do help to shape us. They don't define us. The other way around, sorry. Our definition is beyond any one of those moments. Each one of those moments shape us, but our ultimate definition really is grounded in what we celebrated today, not only in the gift of the Eucharist, but also in our baptismal call to serve. Our baptismal call to serve the living and true God, who is, above all, the one who called us to serve himself and our neighbors. And ultimately, what our community is defined as is a community that is enriched with God's gifts and a sense of resilience that is born of our belief in Jesus' resurrection and in the power of the Eucharist. Over the course of the time here, I have had the opportunity to work with so many people. And it really is a blessing today to be able to see so many of you, people who were co-workers, some at St. John's, some here at the parish community, to see so many of you who I worked with in specific groups in the parish. I firmly believe that our staff is second to none. I will put these women and men up against anyone in the diocese. To those of you who have served over the course of the time that I've been here on the parish council, on the finance council, on the commissions that compose the parish council, know that I have appreciated your consultation and your brutal honesty. If there is one thing St. Joe's is known for, it's you being honest. Keep that up. Keep that up. And throughout the years in those conversations, the staff, the councils, the groups, the parishioners, all of those things give witness to how you all witness your faith. Beyond those groups, certainly I would be remiss if I don't talk about you, the parishioners. Those of you who are here, those who are watching, it's always hard to tell which camera I'm looking at, but whichever camera is watching me now on the live stream, who have been so much a part of the life of this parish. You compose the many ministries and the many activities that we do. Priests, yes, they say they come and they go, and that's true. But the one thing that continues to unite this parish community is not only its people, but again, our faith in Jesus. And we have had so many activities and so many things over the years. I remember early on Dennis telling me, since you've been here, we throw out much more trash. Then he said, I need to buy more garbage bags. And you supported those activities, and you supported those things. I'm grateful for how you've supported our parish and me personally over the years with your prayers, with your presence, and with your gifts of your financial offerings. Because each one of us today in this church, each one of us watching on live stream, and every one of us who professes to be a part of this community has in some way contributed to the very important work of making this parish what it is. United in our baptismal call of service, united in our faith. As I said so many times before, we do stand on the shoulders of those who've gone before us. And I believe together over the course of these past 12 years, we have done the very best that we could to do what we could to be the best we could in this time. And I hope and I pray that as we go forward from here, and particularly as you go forward from here, that you will continue to do the best and be the best you can be. I firmly believe that you're in good hands with Father Andy, and I think as you have been so supportive of me, I hope that you will be supportive of him, and I can't wait to see what you'll do together. It's funny, as the mayor said too, today is really it's a happy day and it's a sad day. Coming in this morning, I wasn't quite exactly sure how I was going to feel about all this, but as much as I'm going to miss being here, I'm happy that I was here, and I'm grateful that I was here. And that's the stuff that's going to sustain me, because I would much rather have had the opportunity to be here and now leave here than never ever been here. And it's a real, real blessing for me. Get near the end, don't worry. I just want to take the opportunity quickly to speak to our young people. Sometimes people say, there's no young people in the church, Father. Where are they? Sleeping. Doing other things. But what we often don't see is the conversations that happen, whether in our youth group, whether after Mass. I just got a whole bunch of new college friends, I'm told, that want to meet with me. So that'd be fun. They can take me out downtown. I'll make them pay, because I'm sure they make more money than I do. I hope and I pray, particularly those young people that have expressed an interest in being involved in the church, not only as a husband or a wife one day, not only as a layperson, but also perhaps as a religious woman or a priest or a deacon, that you'll continue to be open to that. I hope, if nothing else, that in the course of my time here, you have seen that in this choice that I said yes to back in May of 2006 has really been a true blessing for me, and I hope it's been for you. And so Wednesday, I will begin working in a new vineyard, a very big vineyard, very big vineyard. And as I do that, I remember very vividly on the day that Father Greg and I, who share ordination dates, and we're part of the ordination class of 2006, along with our classmates, were ordained. And the now late Bishop Hillis said to us, "Let people see Christ. That's who they want to see." And he urged us not to get in the way. And so I hope that in the course of the 12 years that we've shared together, that I have let you see Christ. And if I got in the way, I'm sorry. I did the best that I could. But hopefully, above all, you have seen Christ. And again, though I'm leaving, I do go forward with a grateful heart. A heart that'll miss the time, the ministry, and the people that make up St. Joseph Parish, and a parish in my hometown, a parish dedicated not to me, but to my patron saint. And I heard early on in my priesthood that joy was the mark of a grateful heart. And even though as this time draws to a close, I really am filled with a deep sense of joy. Because having the opportunity to be a part of this parish community, its ministries, its life, its school, its programs, all of those different things have really made an impression. I'm grateful that the city was willing to allow me to stay on with the chaplaincy too, to be able to work with that, and hope to develop that into a little bit of a bigger team. But I'm certainly grateful above all to Jesus who called me to this way of life. I heard Bishop Malesic say yesterday, if I didn't believe in heaven, I wouldn't be doing this. I'll say the same thing. If I don't believe there isn't something after this life, I wouldn't be doing this. And I don't think you'd be here either, because ultimately, we're grateful for the gifts God has given us, and I'm grateful for Christ calling me to live and to be and to minister as a priest in the Diocese of Cleveland. One of the coolest things I've heard over the course of my time, and I just had this experience in July when I went to a conference in Chicago, was that there's something about Cleveland priests. Boston, New York, Chicago, LA, they're so much bigger, but Cleveland is something everyone is jealous of because of the fact, the bond that we have, and I think the faith that is part of our church community, not only here locally, but throughout the region and this whole diocese. And I assure you, one of my greatest blessings thus far in life has been being introduced as the pastor of St. Joseph Church. And that will continue to be a source of pride and an honor when I can say that I have been the 6th pastor of this community. Today, as I leave here, thanks to Jim Lechko, who's in his usual spot over there by about station 2 or 3, with his wife. See, you guys don't even know, we know where you sit. We can tell, we even figure out exactly where everybody's sitting. Thanks to Jim Lechko, literally a piece of you will go with me always. And that'll be a very special thing that I'll always treasure. And so, my friends, let's get on to the food. But if I may, just one final request. As you have, please keep me in your prayers. Who knows what the future holds in store for any of us, but I know prayers will support us. And as I ask you to pray for me, know that I will pray for you. And my friends, may God bless you all. And from a very grateful heart, thank you, and thank you so very much. Again, everyone, thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for sharing your life, your love, your talents, your gifts. Thank you for the witness of your faith.